And Sanjay Jha, if the GST is so bad, then continue calling it Gabbar Singh tax. Don't buy goods which are cheaper today, or don't expect people to buy. Go and start campaigning for people not to buy these daily use goods. Or if you want the credit that GST is your baby, you thought about it, you brought it, and Narendra Modi, the then Chief Minister of Gujarat, was the only one objecting to it, then if you want the credit, then there must be something good that's going on. Please decide. Do you want to slam GST? Do you want the credit for GST? Because the nation of 140 crore people is totally confused tonight.
Navika, good evening to you and to my fellow panelists. You know, the beauty of discussing things like GST is that, there is no politician, no panelist has the opportunity to give tall speeches and rhetoric and hyperbole. So let's get on to numbers very quickly. And your viewers need to know this, that end of day, this government, Navika, suffered from the popcorn syndrome. You remember that ridiculous situation of the multiple slabs of GST taxes on popcorn. Flawed. In the hurry to introduce GST, they basically defeated the inherent objective of the GST, right? Which was to make it transparent, easy to implement. Now, let me give you a couple of data points. The Congress is right. Over the last 8 years, it's taken 8 years for this government to wake up to the fact that GST is a regressive tax versus inequality, because the poorest man in India pays the same amount of tax on a good or a service like an Ambani or an Adani. Is that your equality statement, Mr. Modi? So far in GST over the last 8 years, rupees 55 lakh crores have been collected. And you look at the data, majority has been paid by the middle class of this country and the poor. Guess what happened in 2019? I'll tell you why this skepticism I have, and I think anybody has, on the GST cuts that have been announced. Let me explain it to you very quickly. Today you have a situation, Navika, where in 2019, the government of Mr. Modi gave a tax break to the corporate sector of 1,50,000 crores. Now that's a direct, literally a direct transfer, and it went to the corporates as a benefit, less tax, and they were expected to invest and create jobs. If that direct did not work, because we see that the private investment is still very sluggish, there is still excess capacity and jobs have vanished, then here is the fundamental question. How will an indirect benefit on the assumption that demand will go up and therefore corporates will invest more and therefore boost the economy? I think it's an absolutely absurd logic, at least for the short to medium term. And let me explain that to you. If there are no jobs, there are no income. If there is no income, there is no expenditure. If there is no expenditure, where are you going to get the increased demand coming from? And by the way, if you look at the mass goods, and Navika, both of us are from the Gokhale Institute, so I'm going to leverage that relationship or that alumni relationship we have. We all know that mass consumption goods are inelastic. So just because you cut the price on essentials doesn't mean that somebody will use 20 soaps or drink or have 25 packets of paneer. They are just kind of mass consumption goods. They'll have a marginal increase, if at all, which brings you to the fundamental point that if you look at the debt of the middle class in India today, largely the middle class, on credit cards, loans, house loans, it's aggregating roughly 38% of India's GDP. The Indian household has never had so much of debt. Indian households are in debt. There are no jobs. You have actually reduced corporate income tax as a proportion of direct taxes lower than personal income tax. Personal income tax contributes 53% to our total direct taxes.
Dr. Sanjay Jha.
These are hard numbers.
Since you are invoking the Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics, I must say this, that if the late Professor Dandekar heard you today, God rest his soul in peace.
He would be impressed.
He would really be very, very miserable. And not to talk about Professor Neelkanth, V.S. Chitre, Venkataramanan, who actually made the national income model in this country. If they heard you today, I don't know what they would say. But